to humour, and yes, that creepy creature that everyone's Lula somehow fears less than Duende actually comes in a range of different flavours. Now the term Aswang is actually quite the umbrella term, often also being categorised as viscera suckers, ghouls and witches. Aswang are shapeshifters, and during the day they'll usually take the form of a beautiful young woman, but by night they prey on humans, which is why most mothers won't let their children outside the house after it gets dark. But even though they don't seem to be picky as long as something has a liver, their absolute favourite food is the unborn. Which, if you think about it, is really just human blood. But for vampire things. You know what, I'm just gonna leave that in there. Now to get back on track since I went there, without further ado, let's look at some types of Aswang. Number 1. Boroka. Now this Aswang comes from a local legend, and is more on the avian side than most. Luckily, it has quite a small hunting window. At midnight, it is said to take off its arms and lower half, hiding them in a safe place before going out and stealing people's hearts and livers. After they've gathered all the organs, they then take them to a secret place in the mountains, usually some sort of nest. Unlike the leathery bat wings that are usually associated with Aswang, this creature sprouts feathery black wings from either the empty sockets of its arms or from the wing bones in its back. Now luckily killing them is quite simple. All you have to do is wait until the creature is out flying and hunting, then locate its lower half and rub in salt, vinegar and ashes. And then when dawn comes, the creature won't be able to fuse with its lower half, this meaning it becomes mortal and dies from blood loss. And if you find yourself cornered by the Boroka, you can call out those 3 ingredients. This will freak it out thinking that someone's put something on its lower half, and it'll fly back to its lair to make sure its body is okay. And the distraction should give you some time to run away. Number 2. Manananggal. The Manananggal comes from Bokol folklore, and much like the Manananggal and most other Aswang, it has to detach part of itself in order to go human hunting. But the part of itself that it detaches is its head, spinal cord, and internal organs. Now this type of Aswang is not actually a rarity at all, which is fun, with lots of different people groups having it in their folklores and myths, along with different characteristics, reasons why it exists, and, luckily, weaknesses. For example, on the Negros Islands, it's known as the Unga Unga, and in Malaysian folklore, it's known as the Manananggal. Also in Malaysian folklore, pineapples are listed as their weakness. Number 3. Wakwak. A theme among Aswang that is destined to cause mass auditory hallucination is when they are furthest away is when they are most clearly heard. The Wakwak gets its name from the beating that its wings make when it flies. This is obviously Wakwak. When you can hear the sound and it's very loud, it means you're relatively safe as it is very far away. But as it gets quieter, it means that the Wakwak is approaching and possibly even stalking you, so it's probably best to run or find shelter. Some myths suggest that having a crucifix or salt might be able to deter it or drive it away, but this isn't a guarantee, of course. But, there is a surefire way to make sure that you don't get eaten. This is to find someone and push them in front of you. That way the creature is eating them while you hopefully run away. Now, there is some conflicting evidence and information as to what kind of habitat the Wakwak prefer. Whilst most sources seem to agree that they prefer mountains, jungles and caves, I found some other articles saying that they actually had their own kingdom in a province in Luzon. But take that with a grain of salt, as I actually read that on the wiki page. Another less fun fact, it is also suggested that the Wakwak teams up with the Manananggal to hunt humans. Number 4. Buburua. Now this creature actually made me laugh because it specifically imitates the sound of a laying hen. But of course, this mechanism has its purpose. The Buburua's hunting tactic is as follows. At night, the creature will hide in a bush just outside of the chicken coop. Of course, the farmer will hear the sound and think that one of the chickens has gotten out and try to put it back in the coop. But of course, instead of the chicken getting eaten by a fox, it's the farmer that gets eaten by an aswang. But the deed does not stop there. After this aswang pounces out of the bushes and kills the farmer on sight, they don't consume him straight away. Instead, they take a good look at their victim and begin to carve an image of them out of a tree trunk, specifically a banana tree trunk. Then, the carving is animated, and for about 2 weeks, it'll live and act exactly how the human victim did in life, only for it to mysteriously fall ill and die within the 2-week period. Meanwhile, the Buburua drags his victim back to its balete tree home and eats its victim in the comfort of his own home. Now, what exactly the Buburua looks like kind of varies from telling to telling, and this was just due to Spanish remodeling to suit how they saw evil spirits within their own culture. This gives us 3 basic images of how the Buburua can appear, from something more like Lord of the Rings Gollum to pain and panic gargoyle type creature, with the middle ground being if you covered Gollum in bones and tree roots and he had wings instead of arms but could only really fly about as far as a chicken. Number 5. Dagot. Now this aswang originates from the region surrounding Palawan. During the day, the Dagot present themselves as very shy but beautiful young women with fair skin and very dark hair, which is long, and they use it to hide their eyes. This is because in the mythology, when you look into a witch or any type of encanto's eyes, everything will appear upside down in the reflection. Now, the Dagot are said to be daughters of the Aswang, or more specifically, male Aswang who became Aswang through way of ritual and witchcraft, which is a piece of lore I'll maybe get to later. But for now, don't let the shy girl act for you, because it's not only to hide their eyes so no one can see the upside down reflection, but also because they know men find that attractive, or assume men find that attractive, and use it to lure them in so they can eventually eat them. These aswang are usually found living on isolated farms, and their wings are actually detachable, so during the day they'll either hide their wings in a secret compartment somewhere in their house, or they hang them up on a balete tree somewhere in the jungle. So this means that when night comes around, they can just attach their wings and go out hunting. But how exactly they attach their wings does vary from telling to telling. The key thing to note here is that their wings are usually made out of some sort of magic wax, so they can be melted on and off. Some tellings say that the wings are melted onto their backs, but others say that they savagely rip off their own arms and then stuff the wax wings into their sockets. But sometimes their arms aren't all fleshy and human, sometimes they're fake arms made out of wax, meaning that the whole ripping off arm things isn't quite as graphic. So that is a small glimpse into the Philippines' most iconic mythological creature, and trust me, there are far many more unique and terrifying flavors of aswang out there. But for now, give this video a dislike, probably don't subscribe because that can't be healthy for your mental health, and see ya!